Welcome, everyone. My name is Alex, and this is In the Field, our new podcast where we talk to experts in the industry so they can share with us their experiences and we try to uncover their lessons learned in the field. This is a live podcast, so to all those who are listening online, like at this very moment in real time, if you have questions, you could just drop them onto the Q&A in Zoom, and we will pick up some of them towards the end of the show, and we will ask them to our guest. Welcome, everyone. Again, as I said, this is our first episode, and we are very, very excited to be kicking this series off with such a great guest. He's an expert on Industry 4.0. He's a digital transformation leader, really. He's a renowned leader in the space. He's been doing this for like 20 years. Even since before digital transformation was a thing. And he's become a specialist on UNS, Unified Namespace. And that's going to be the hot topic of the day, and not just because our guest today is an expert on UNS, but because it's become sort of a buzzword that we hear a lot lately. And I think it's worth dedicating a session to have a chat about it. He runs his own consultancy, which is called Factovia, where he helps major industrial companies to drive their digitalization in a proper way, in a good way. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Vincent Thavonekham. Welcome to the show, Vincent. How are you doing,
thank
man?
you. Thank you very much for welcoming us, Factovia and myself. It's really a pleasure to be here on your first episode, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for coming. First things first, did I pronounce your surname correctly?
Yeah, Thavonekham is not bad. It's not bad.
Oh, good to
There's
better,
no real
right?
or bad anyway. You can call me Tavo or whatever, no problems.
All right. And regarding the introduction, would you like to add something or maybe remove something?
Concerning my background, it's as if, I don't know, it's sometimes I say I was born with a screwdriver in my hands, and I like to dismantle everything since I was a small kid. My Christmas present, I had a car, I remember, and I use a screwdriver to dismantle to understand how it works. So
I'm sure your parents were enchanted by that, right?
Yeah, that was from school. Besides, that was a present from school, so I dismantled. So that my parents didn't see.
Okay. All right. So it's good that you're hands-on, because what we're looking for today is like real experiences in the field. So that's good. Okay. So Vincent, before we dive into Unified Namespace, I'd like to kick this off with a quick round of questions. So the way it works is these are quick questions. So I want like short answers. Just say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
No overthinking. All right. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. So Vincent, how do you take your coffee?
Coffee, I don't drink coffee except maybe Irish coffee or café gourmand in France. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl, definitely.
Book or podcast?
Podcast.
But that's because we are in a podcast, right?
Yeah, because when I read books, I just sleep. I fall asleep. So
that's because you don't take coffee. Remote work or factory floor?
Definitely factory floor. Very interesting. I love being in the factory floor.
All right. And if you could explain UNS using food, what dish would it be?
It's funny because I thought about comparison all the time, and I publish comparison. Maybe food would be a hamburger made by a chef, because hamburger, you've got many layers, like in the factories. And a chef, why? Because in a very expensive kitchen with a chef, you've got many roles and many people, and they all contribute to one thing: the best food that could deliver to the customer.
Wow! Wow!
And
it's a very good explanation. All right. Okay. So let's speak about UNS. So how would you define, how would you expand that definition that you just gave, especially to those who might have heard the word, but don't really know what's behind the buzzword, right? So, how would you explain to that people, like very briefly, what's UNS, and how is it? I'm interested in you explaining how is it different from just collecting data or just deploying an MQTT broker or something like that to gather data.
Okay, so if I take the analogy, the previous analogy, UNS could be, okay, if I don't know about UNS, I would say, okay, let's make UNS and I go to, I don't know, to a shop, a store, and I buy a burger. And that's it. People will think that buying something already made will make UNS, and it's wrong. UNS, from what I explained earlier, it's a whole experience. It's a whole philosophy. You know, you have the chef, you have the team of the chef, you've got the atmosphere, the restaurant, everything has to be there, not just bits and pieces. So if I talk about technology, many often people will think about UNS. Let's do UNS. Okay, I install MQTT broker and that's all. Or I install Ignition and that's finished. Many of
That's
our customers,
like fast digital transformation, right? So it's not fast food, fast digital transformation.
Yeah, it's like fast
I just
food. Yes.
go there, wait for 5 minutes, and I got it. That's it.
Yeah,
right?
That's it. Yeah, that's not as opposed to the fast food. It's the restaurant, and you have to think a lot, and yeah, to transform the food properly. So yes, it means I never thought about the fast food, so that's a good comparison. So you've got the fast food of the burger on one side, and the slow food that you enjoy on the other side, and that will last long because that's a digital transformation. Sometimes it lasts 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and it's ever evolving forever. I mean, you keep improving your burger, you keep improving your recipe. So that's what we are looking for.
All right.
You cannot just arrive and say, okay, I'm going to put a MQTT broker for free, or even you buy it and expect that, oh, by magic, this is UNS. No, it's just only a small ingredient.
Okay, so what do you think then? Because I think it kind of brings to mind. So what do you think are the most common misconceptions about UNS? So like, what do people get wrong about UNS?
So it's around, yeah, it's still the same idea. Is people think that UNS is a tool, for example, a tangible tool. So they try to buy it, or they ask, provider, yeah, please provide me a UNS, and the provider will sell you a so-called UNS. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes some team members within the factory, they don't know exactly what is UNS, but the big boss asked to have UNS. So they would just rename their PowerPoint. Instead of whatever, they put 3 letters, UNS. I saw that from my own eyes, for real. And then some people on the podcast, they might hear us. They tell us, I mean, it's wrong, of course, because nothing has changed. They just put 3 letters, and they claim to be UNS compliant. So, yeah, the error that we usually do is that we don't know what is UNS. We pretend by like painting, we pretend to put a new label and hoping that this is UNS, and this is not correct, because to be UNS, you have to have minimum requirements to be UNS. Yeah.
All right. So it's not just about gathering data. It's about doing other things around that data, right?
Yeah. It's if we want to compare, to make another comparison with a methodology, for example, agile methodology. Mm-hmm. Well, I did that like nearly 26 years ago when we started agile methodology in London. When I came back over in France, people try to put agility by just, I don't know, buying deck of cards and then trying to estimate and say, okay, we are agile because we've got a deck of cards, or stand-up meetings in the morning. So they stand up, and with a microphone, you put the ball or the microphone. Okay, that's your turn to speak. And then people think this is agility, and that's all. So it's a lot more than that. To be honest, I even hated my time when I learned Scrum, because I had to learn a lot of words, a lot of many things. And UNS is the same. You cannot, you have two things. You have to learn the vocabularies, and also to gain the philosophy. If you don't have the philosophy, you can buy whatever you want. You can put the microphone, buy deck of cards, put MQTT broker, whatever, it will fail. It's first of all a philosophy, and then it's a tool.
All right. Okay. Okay. Let's dive into a real implementation. Okay. So let's think of how it goes when you usually just want to just do the thing. And the general knowledge for most of the people, what they do is they start with a POC, right? With a proof of concept, and we see this a lot in industry. I mean, you first have to do a proof of concept, then you have to elaborate some sort of business model, ROI, then you have to sell it internally, probably, and then at some point you can escalate that. So it seems to be the right approach, right? But I know that you think differently, because I've spoken about this some time ago with you. So what do you think of POCs?
My real thinking of POC, I know in Barbara, I know some of your flyers. Sometimes I saw POC
Yeah,
and
we
stuff
speak
like
about
that.
POCs all the time. Yeah,
Yes,
you
so
can't say it's wrong. Then I'll ban you from the
well, it
podcast.
was, and that's how I started. Like in 2014, I started with POCs. We started with Azure IoT Edge and Azure IoT Hub and stuff like that. We did a lot of proof of concept because it was totally new. It was a fresh paint and we had to test. But now we're in year 2026. We cannot really call that proof of concept. So some of our real customer, they call us and they say, yeah, Vincent, we want a POC and for this and that. I say, wait a minute. Why do you want a POC? Well, because I want to know this and that. Well, I can answer you at the moment within 3 minutes. Yes, you can do that. But so I save you, I don't know, 10 or 20K worth of money. But what I want to know is why do you want that? What is the problem that you want to solve and to fix? So we have to come back to the really root, and then it's you start to elaborate some solutions. It's not yes, I want to a POC for the sake of POC. And besides, we all have answers on Edge. You know, Docker containers, they are all there for I don't know, for over decades. We know most of the things. So POC, okay, still exists, but in areas that I don't know the answer.
All right. So what should we do then? If POC is
okay.
is a thing of the past,
so,
what should we be doing?
So well, sometimes we call that MVP, so minimum viable product. So we make really small products and products that you could deliver and have values directly. So, and you could interrupt the creation of the product nearly at any time. So when the customer said, okay, Vincent, now we want to deliver the product now, and we can say, okay, we can deliver. So the MVP, minimum viable product, is really, you can sell it directly, you can touch it, it's tangible. And also we make it in small increments. Usually the first iteration, the first few iterations, it lasts, I don't know, from 10 weeks to 12 weeks maximum, so that we get feedbacks and the customer is not waiting in a long tunnel. And after 1 year or 2 years of the long tunnel, we deliver something that is totally wrong. So yeah, MVP, sometimes instead of proof of concept, we call that proof of value. So we focus on the value and the pain that we want to solve.
All right. So if I understood correctly, what you're saying is, let's not do a POC. Let's just start to do the thing, but in small increments. So let's start doing a real thing that we could just carry on doing, and we are actually escalating, right? Rather than just doing a POC was separated, and that would need some sort of stop, and then all right, and
even I've got another example with UNS. Sometimes factory owner, the CEO that I met in Lyon, he said, Vincent, okay, I know you are an expert in UNS. I want UNS in my 8 factories in France. I said, okay, cool. Of course, I'm glad. And I said, okay, let's go and visit the factory. It wasn't the CEO himself. He asked his general manager, who is really highly competent, highly expert in Industry 4.0 already. So we had a good chat when we first arrived. And the GM, he told me, okay, Vincent, I'm sure we don't need UNS. I said, well, I don't know. But the GM told me, but my boss asked me to put UNS. So what shall we be doing? I said, okay, let's visit the factory. So we visited the factory for hours and came the conclusion. I said, you're right. We don't need UNS. On your factory and on other sites, you don't need UNS for many reasons. And so I went away. And the boss, the big boss, the CEO said, Vincent, I'm not happy. I wanted the result to be, yes, we need UNS. So he said, I'm going to make you the visit myself. So, okay, we visit. I asked many of my team to come and with us to visit. My conclusion, nearly at the end, I said, well, we don't need UNS, except at the very end, one of my team member asked a few questions, and maybe we had a 1% need of UNS, but that's not enough. You know, that's a proof of value, and or there's no value added to that very 1%. So we said, okay, sorry again, we don't need UNS. So it's not, we don't want to proof of value of a concept or just put UNS for the sake of putting UNS. It's if the need is there, the pain is there, we put UNS. Otherwise, there's no need. But that's, to be honest, that's only one case that happens. Usually, we need UNS. Maybe not the first time we had to fix something, for example, the data that are gathered incorrectly or other problems, then we put UNS.
All right. Okay, and how does it look like a good proof of value? I mean, how does it look like? I mean, how is it different from a proof of concept? Because in my mind, I'm still having problems differentiating them. What's a big difference for you?
So if I would go for a proof of concept, I would rush to the technology and I would put a MQTT broker and I would show you, okay, this is the concept and this is how the data will flow and so on. So, and then you show, okay, that works. It brings you the solution, first of all, which is bad because we don't know the problem. Maybe the solution doesn't, the solution answers the wrong problem.
So for you, the concept somehow forces you to create like something that does things, right? So create a prototype or something.
Yeah.
All right. So it moves you towards technology rather than moving you towards what you're trying to achieve, right? Okay.
Yes. We come back again. We come back to the problem. It means that to know the problem, we need to do interviews and to ask around a lot of people in the hierarchy, and generally, especially, we have to ask the people on the field. So that's the title of the whole episode. So really in the fields, that's the people where the value is produced.
All right. Speaking about people, now that you speak about that, OT people and IT people. I know this is a topic, but we need to speak about this.
Yeah.
Is it? Are we going to solve this IT against OT thing? Is it going to be like that forever? I mean, how do we align people around IT and OT, and especially when it comes to UNS?
I think, well, for me, it's an eternal problem. It's not only IT, OT. Before I was a software developer, so we had a developer and production, so DevOps, and now it's IT, OT. It's not my problem. I do my job, and then now it's up to you. And if it doesn't work, it's your problem. So no, it's a team. And if that doesn't work, that's the problem of the entire company. So IT/OT, what I do at least is two things. So first is the language. The language, I have to understand the pain. We come back to the pain, the needs, and to speak the same language, the same vocabulary. I will take some example, stupid example, maybe two examples. First, we demonstrate, we've got a lab that explains to people what is UNS. It was at the beginning of our journey. So I had in front of me someone in the field of agro-industrial person, experts, engineer. So I said, okay, brilliant engineers, let's deep dive and talk technology. And at some point, the engineer told me, Vincent, I don't understand. I said, what? Why you don't understand? I don't understand why you don't understand. So I said, well, remove this robot arm, okay? And imagine there's a silo with inside you've got cereals. And here in front, imagine you've got a field and you've got tractors. Ah, okay, I understand now. Okay, it's exactly the same. I just changed the vocabulary. So our conclusion is, okay, just use the same vocabulary. So that's one example. Other example, French example is, you know, when I talk to OT guys, well, we call PLC a PLC, right? It's logical.
It makes sense.
It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for everyone. For example, when I talk to OT guys in France, I don't call PLC. I call that API. But the problem of API, it means something else. API for IT guys. So REST APIs, for example. So so it's really, really bizarre. When I talk to OT guys, I have to use API because it means automate, in French, automate programmable industriel. So it's like, you know, French, they like to translate everything into French. So the problem is that it's already messy, you know, UNS and all that stuff is complex already. It's not enough. We have to translate that into French. And the problem is that the OT guys in French, they don't, when they Google, they don't find the answer because UNS is not UNS if it's translated into French, you know, it's really complex. So again, it comes back to the language. We have to do and use the same language. And the second point is the effort that we have to tell the people. We have to tell the IT guys, it needs some effort, a little bit of effort to talk to OT guys. And OT, you need to make a little bit of effort. And in fact, it's not only IT OT, but finance people and everyone revolving around the common project, the common digital transformation, which means nearly everyone, HR, finance, and so on. So a little bit of effort for everyone. And we've got methodologies, not we Factovia, and in general, the change management strategy has got some methodology to perform that.
All right. Okay. We are like halfway through the episode. I mean, time flies. I just wanted to remind everyone that's listening to us online, you could drop your questions onto the Q&A section. We're going to be picking a few of them towards the end of the show and ask our guest. So if you have like something that you'd like us to ask, just don't be afraid. Write those questions onto the Q&A section. All right, Vincent. I think it's time to speak about artificial intelligence, right? Because there's no podcast or anything nowadays I can't avoid speaking about AI, right? It doesn't matter what you really do, but in this case, it actually is important. So about AI, every company wants AI, right? Well, we do work in a myself. I work in a company who enables AI for companies. So we have seen this spike of interest in many industrial companies. So they want AI. But
AI at the edge, right?
Yeah, AI at the edge. They want AI. I mean, they don't know about edge cloud. They just want AI, right? We can speak about edge against cloud if you want to, but they just want AI. My question here is, what would be your advice to that people? I mean, how can a company be, let's say, AI ready within, I don't know, 2, 3 years? If I am now like a regular company that does some data, has lots of PLCs, SCADAs, and whatnot, if I am to be AI ready in 2, 3 years, what do I need to start doing now?
I think well, 2, 3 years for a factory, it's or a factory owner seems forever. So for them, it's AI yesterday. So yes, that's usually
Yeah,
what
that's a
I find.
mismatch of time scales, right?
Yeah.
So in 2, 3 years, nobody knows what kind of AI we'll have because 3 years ago we didn't have ChatGPT, and nowadays it's like everyone has 3 or 4 agents working for
Yeah.
them, doing their shopping and everything. But we know the industry moves slowly, right? So I can't ask for a time frame of 1 year because that's tomorrow for an industrial company. So, but yeah, let's imagine that AI doesn't move that fast. So in 2, 3 years, if I want to be doing agentic AI or any other sort of predictive maintenance or that kind of thing, what should I start doing now? What would be your advice?
So, well, that's the whole purpose of this podcast. Is, of course, my belief. I did a lot of AI. I've got a master in AI. We won some awards and stuff like that. But to be honest, well, there's a lot of buzzwords. We know there's a lot of buzzwords. Even in our company, we forbid to pronounce AI. We use AI, but we don't promote AI. We don't do, we don't want to sell AI because we let the other people do that. Why? Because we focus on something bigger than AI for me, or well, at least as a foundation. It's unified namespace, or not unified namespace as such. It's the foundation that could be agile enough to accommodate today's AI, tomorrow's AI, today's digital twin, and tomorrow's digital twin. So it's a common infrastructure of all the data that could be understandable. So that's my vision. You have to have a solid foundation. And this foundation, if we analyze mathematically, it's the chaos. It's the foundation that moves all the time, because in a factory, whatever you can plan, nothing will follow the plan. It's always, you've got and that's why you've got maintenance guys. They are there because you've got problems. If everything was planned and everything followed the plan, you don't need no one. When it's time, you change. So you've got always changeable or changing parameters. So that's the chaos. And to cope with the chaos, you have to be agile and to have the methodology first. We talk about that 80% methodology and 20% of tools that are that could accommodate the chaos in an agile way. And at the moment, and I say at the moment, it's UNS, and not only UNS. UNS alone is not enough. We have to add, for example, during the Prove It conference in the US recently, it's been announced by SESME Institute that we've got I3X API, so that complements UNS to enforce even some more interoperability with tools and softwares that are not compatible with UNS. So it evolves all the time. So yeah, my advice would be to watch what's going on in English or in French or whatever, but be ready for the change all the time.
All right, be ready for the change. That sounds like something that industry has a problem with. But yes, yeah. All right. Let's change topic. I know there's a topic that you like a lot, which is change management. You speak a lot about change management. Given your strong background in change management, how do you reduce resistance in the top management usually when you're introducing UNS? I mean, how do you go about convincing people that this is a good thing for the company, if it is a good thing, right? So proven that it actually is.
Exactly. So first of all, we have to ensure that UNS, like what we said earlier on, is good thing. And if we go to digital transformation, we have to start first, like what we do today, is a phase of awareness. Awareness. That's step number one. Number two is self-conviction. For example, the executive, they have to believe themselves. It's not me, Vincent, who says, okay, you have to do UNS. It's themselves who said, okay, I read in Gartner, I read this.
Well, the consultant effect is important, right? I mean, if a consultant comes and says, hey, you should be doing this, then that option like raises up the probability of being executed. So,
yes.
So yeah, if you go there as a consultant and say, hey, you should be doing UNS, that's something, isn't it?
that's a beginning. That's a good start. And once they have their self-conviction, just after, the step number 3 is to practice. Of course, maybe not themselves, but their team, they have to practice and show it works, in a tangible way. It's to prove that it works, that it saves some pain, not necessarily money, because it's first you try to save some tedious tasks, some repetitive tasks, and then at some point, because you do repetitive tasks, you make errors. So with removing errors and reducing, for example, the defects, by default you will increase the revenues. So that's not direct improvement of the revenue, but it's indirect. But the indirect, it could sometimes, even for small and medium enterprise, it could save millions per year already. For large corporates, it's like it's usual to have at least $300 million saved per year. So that's kind of usual figures.
All right. So for you, kind of goes back to the proof of value thing, right? To the minimum viable product. So the idea is to, I mean, your practice, as I understand it, is you just practice by starting to implement the real thing, and then you prove value soon, and you can use that value to your top management or whoever.
Yeah, prove the value, and once you practice enough. We've got some customer, they practice. We created a lab for them, and they practice every day for a year and a half. And now they accumulated enough experience, and they can deploy, without fear in production. And then we destroy the lab. It's it's just a practice. Once you've got enough knowledge, you can just destroy and create another lab for other purpose. Or maybe
you always
the next
need practice,
level.
Right? If you think of you always need practice, right? If you think of anyone doing sports like at the professional level, they always go back to the gym, or they have to keep practicing. So
that's what I don't understand, because in sports you practice gym, or you practice karate, or you've got many belt colors and you've got degrees of maturity. But in industry, somehow we forgot that we need to have maturity. And we say, let's create a factory. Yes, we're engineers. Let's go. Let's do it. And it fails. That's bizarre.
Yeah. We want the black belt, like out of the box.
We want to black belt and buy the black belt. So you can buy it. You go to the shop, you buy the black belt. You are happy about it, but it doesn't work. You receive a punch and that's it.
It takes us back to the burger again, right? So the fast transformation.
Fast burger, yes.
Just pay for it. Yeah, I've paid for this thing. Just give it to me.
And bizarrely, it doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, strangely. All right, Vincent, I think it's time for some Q&A from the audience.
Okay.
We have some questions, which my colleagues are filtering here for me. So first question comes from Bindioa Wali.
Okay.
And he says, engineers focus on tech first. I compare UNS to advanced product planning quality. Therefore, how to bring them to the real 20 tech, 80 people, so the 20% tech, 80% people, without using tech as top management and measuring progress only with factual ROI, or change management is not really easy to measure in a P&L. All right. Maybe I didn't read it right. Let me rephrase for you. Okay. So basically, I think what he's trying to say is, how can organizations shift engineers from a tech-first mindset to a people-focused approach, right? Since you are speaking about this 2080, that it should be 80 people and 20 technology, right? And especially when the leaders, they're usually measuring progress through ROI, right? And for some reason, change management is not shown in a P&L, right? It's difficult to quantify. So how you go about that? It doesn't look like an easy question, but
it's
there you go.
complex answers. Yeah, it's not an easy it's not an easy one for a first question, but it happens all the time. It happens all the time. Either it's tech guys who are focused on technology, or CFO, they focus on, of course, the finance. But we forgot what we want and why we want to achieve the transformation. Again, there's no easy answer. Either you've got some methodology, you go in the field and you ask the people, you interview people, and ask, okay, how much pain does it? Well, what's your job first? What's your pain? And the problem that you've got, what's the impact? And then you do a lot of interview. You total all the impact, and then you could give that fact and figures. But that's not, for me, that's one solution. We've got other solutions. You've got calculations that are, that could create the ROI. But we believe that there's even a bigger message. It's as if you have got a car and you are on a motorway. Your car breaks down, and it's in the motorway, it's on the side, and now you've got the towing machine, the tow truck that arrives, and you say, stop, I don't want you to do anything because I want to know the ROI first. Well, it's similar, you know. You can't just say, okay, I want ROI all the time. I mean, so that's the same. So the second thing, the first was, okay, you calculate from deduction. Second thing, you know that if you don't do it, you will stay forever on the motorway, and then you could die at some point. So that's similar for factories. So two approaches, and some who will try to get ROI. Some ASO, or we saw, because I'm not the only one, for 3 years, they've been trying to get the ROI from a return on experience from the car industry. They've been trying to get ROI on the creation of, combustion motors, explosion motors, and then electrical cars. But you cannot have that. You know, electrical cars, we invest a lot on electrical batteries and electrical cars. Who has calculated the ROI before jumping in the void? No one.
Elon Musk, probably
Elon
not.
Musk, yeah. So you don't do necessarily ROI. You have to do it if you want to survive.
All right.
So again, if I summarize, if you are really under stress and you are, mathematics and you love the maths, okay, do the calculations. It takes a long time to do all the interviews. You will have some facts and figures. To be honest, many times in the past, and I'm not lying, it's real. My boss told me, I don't like these facts and figures. Change the factors here, change that there. Okay, I change here, I change there. I like the numbers. Okay, that's cool. Can we do the job now? Okay, and then we do. We did that many times. So yeah, either you do that, sometimes we spend 6 months doing that, facts and figures. We love math, we do a lot of maths, Excel. Or you say, okay, we do it, or we die. So let's do it.
All right. Okay.
That was a long answer for that complex question.
I have another question for you. This is from Martin.
Okay.
What is usually the first sign in a plant that it needs UNS?
The first sign is
right?
Yeah. Okay. Many times we've got the problem. So the first sign, let's say, one sign is the quality people who has to track defects. When they've got defects, they start to shake because they the next task will be to answer their boss, okay, why have I got this defect? And then they will have to deep dive and dig for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes months, without having any answers at the end. So when you've got defects and you don't know why, and it takes forever to answer the question, so that's a good sign that there's something bizarre.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's a short and very spot on answer. All right. I have one more questions, but I'm afraid we're running out of time. I mean, this is feeling like yeah, time
maybe
flies.
we can answer offline. So
yeah, maybe we can answer them online. Well, I'll make it to you. You promise you're going to be also fast with this one. All right.
Okay.
If you're starting from scratch in a brownfield, what's the first step you would take for UNS, I guess? Well, it's always a brownfield, isn't it? It's very strange that you start in a greenfield. Like, you're always operating on factories that are already there.
Sometimes, yeah, in some cases, we create factories from scratch. So,
yeah. But that's the easy way, isn't it?
It is easy. Well, so, easier, not easy.
All
easier.
Right. So, what do you do in a brownfield then? So everything's in place. You're just there. What's the first step? Like day one.
If it's already there, the first thing that I say is don't touch. I don't touch whatever there. It's there. It works. You are gaining money out of it. So we don't destroy and we don't do big bang. So that's the first thing I would say. Because UNS could be installed and, well, the technological part.
The first thing is don't do nothing, right?
Yeah, don't touch. It works, and don't touch it. It works. Right. So we'll do a Y shape, and the second part of the Y will be the UNS part, the technical part.
All right.
And so that
we'll start practicing there, I guess.
Yeah, that's start practicing in parallel. We start practicing. So yeah, the first thing is don't touch, because otherwise, especially it comes back to the change management. People will fear, yeah, my God, I will lose my job and this and that, and I will. It's too scary. So don't touch. And for real, the advantage of UNS is that it could come and it could blend with whatever you've got, you've got. It's old, it's new, it's whatever. It's a methodology first. It's a tool second.
All right. Okay. It sounds reasonable with what you've said before.
Yeah.
All right. So we need to be closing, man. I have two questions. The last two questions.
Right.
The first one is if you were left on a desert island, what would be the only one tool that you would take with you? Like any tool. It could be
any tool.
Hardware, it could be software, it could be a physical thing like a spanner, screwdriver. I don't know. You can't say Barbara though, because that would be pitching, and we don't want to pitch here. So, what would you take?
All right. Because I like scouts, I would go for a Swiss Army knife and the Swiss Army knife tool would be litmus, and one of the blade is high bite, right? So that's a Swiss Army knife.
Right, but high bite will. Okay,
a big Swiss Army knife.
But high bite can't be a blade because they're competitors, right? Basically, but yes. All right. So you wanted to say two. That's basically it.
Well, that's a big Swiss Army knife.
All right. So litmus and high bite.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
But litmus is the Swiss Army knife. I mean, that's because it's you can use it for multifunction, and then one of the blade is high bite.
All right.
That's the subtlety.
Okay. All right, then. So to the final statement. So if there was like a single piece of advice that you would give a C-level, like a CIO, a CEO, anyone starting with UNS, what would it be? And you're going to be remembered by this, right?
Yeah. So, that would be worldwide. Many people made mistakes already. It's been gathered, it's been documented. We document all that. So don't start alone. Don't reinvent the wheel. It's already there. So phone your friend, phone your someone who knows, but don't start alone, because you will be doing exactly the same error again and again. So don't do that.
All right, that was a good one. Okay, so don't walk alone.
Yes.
All right, Vincent. I mean, it's been such a great time. It
Yeah.
went by very, very quickly. As I said at the beginning, it was a real pleasure to keep this series with you.
Thanks.
So yeah, thank you for coming, for sharing your experience, your perspective. Um, and yeah, it was a real pleasure to have you here. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Vincent.
Bye.
And to our listeners, well, that's all we have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Yeah, if you learned something today, just even if it's just a tiny bit of something, then we're happy. Until next time, in the field.